You are listening to the Life Coach Business Podcast with Amanda Carlstad, episode number 114. Welcome to the Life Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to a whole new level. If you're ready to start taking powerful action and become the leader your business needs in order to grow and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Carlstad, certified life and business coach and entrepreneurial leadership expert. Now let's get down to business. Hello and welcome everyone. I am super excited to have you here today. I have a very special episode that I am bringing to you today. This is the first episode in a series of episodes that I will be bringing to you in the coming weeks that I have decided to call the What's Possible series. And it's actually a series that I have been planning for quite some time over the last few months and have had on my calendar back even from early this fall to bring to you, where we're going to be bringing you a series of client case studies. And these are clients who over the past year, and in some cases, like the client you're about to hear from today, the last couple of years, through our work together have created extraordinary financial success in their business and extraordinary success in terms of their freedom, in terms of their schedule, and also extraordinary personal success as well and transformation. And so all of these clients have truly been examples of what it means to step into and to become a true CEO in their business, to become the leader that their business has really needed them to be. And as a result of that, they have all been able to create their dream business and their dream life. And one of the things that I want all of you listening to take away from these conversations that I'm about to bring to you is really the underlying truth that I do work to bring to all of you in as many episodes as I can in this podcast. And that is that the level of success that you're about to hear from these clients, I want you all to know that it's truly available for you too. It's truly possible for you too. And to give you a bit of context, the clients that I'm about to bring to you, these are all clients who, when we started working together, were in a place in their business that looked very, very different from what it looks like today. It's really drastic changes in terms of where their business started and where they're at today. And so the evolution and the level of transformation that each of these clients has gone through over the past year, and in some cases, past couple of years, has really been phenomenal. And not only has this resulted in financial success in their business, but it's also allowed them to step more fully into their purpose and to truly become that next version of themselves, that version of themselves that they have been dreaming about, that they have been able to visualize from the beginning. And it's been really exciting to witness this growth and to observe this in all of them. So I want all of you listening to pay attention, as these are clients who, when we started working together, were, in all the cases, we're working with clients in some fashion on a one-on-one basis. And they were at a point in their business where they were ready to really go to the next level. And because they were working with some clients, because they weren't quite sure on how to do that, through the process that I teach, that I take all of my clients through, they've been able to significantly accelerate the growth of their business. They've generated a ton of revenue that you're about to hear about, build momentum, hire their first team members, and most importantly, create a foundation in their business that has really allowed them to scale their business and serve their clients at the highest level. And they're able to do this while doing the important work in the world that they're all being called here to do. And so through this process, every one of these clients has literally blown away what they initially thought was possible for them. And now they're in a place where they're working to take things to the next level. So to that first million. And I'm so excited to bring you these client case studies because they truly speak to the power of this work. They truly speak to what is available to you, the power of the growth that is available to all of you when you choose to do this work. So my goal for all of you listening with this series is that through these client case studies that I'm about to share with you, that you're able to also see what's truly possible for you when you commit to your dream, when you commit to your goals, and when you commit to doing the work. So I am thrilled to bring you my first client case study in this series with my client, Dr. Sonia Wright. And as you're about to hear, Sonia and I started working together in 2019. And when Sonia came to me, she had been working with a few one-on-one clients and was in a place in her business where she was ready to go to the next level. And because she wasn't sure how to do that, what we've been able to do over the past couple of years is not only scale her business in a way where she's been able to help so many more clients. So she's been able to launch her first group program. She's launched a podcast. She's in the process of creating her next offering, which is ultimately going to help more doctors, help more of their patients in the sexual health realm. And because of all of this, she's experienced a tremendous amount of growth in her business from a revenue perspective. And to give you a bit of an insight to that, she has not only generated well over $500,000 in her business, but it's also allowed her, this growth has also allowed her to officially resign from her full-time MD position, which I know in the beginning she wasn't sure was ever possible for her. And what I think is most exciting too is that she also, from a freedom perspective, has so much more freedom in her life, so much more freedom in her schedule, freedom in her creativity in her business. And a true gift is that it's ultimately given her more time to be present with her family, which is something that you're about to hear her talk about in today's interview. And so I'm so thrilled to be able to bring you today's conversation. So with that, let's go to the interview and hear what has been possible for Dr. Sonia Wright. All right. I am so excited. I have a very special guest today. I know some of you know her. She is amazing. One of my longtime clients, Dr. Sonia Wright. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here.
Good. Well, and it's been a while. We were just talking. We were looking at when was the last time you were on? It's been almost a year and a half since you've been on the show.
Yeah, definitely almost a year and a half. And it's been like 2 years since I started working with you, right? So it's the end of October and now we're at the beginning of December. So we get to celebrate our 2-year anniversary as well.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited that we get to do that. Well, thank you for being here. So what we want to talk about today, what I want to bring to everyone today is because Sonia we'll go into your story a little bit just for those listeners that may not know your story, Sonia, into coaching and the type of coaching you do. We'll start there in a minute. But I really want today's conversation for all of you listening to really demonstrate an example of what is possible. And so one of the things that I am going to be doing here over the next several weeks is bringing on different clients and sharing their journey, sharing their story, having them share their story in terms of what is truly possible when you do the work, when you actually manage your brain, when you do all the things that we do as coaches, as business owners to really make an impact with our clients. And so I'm super excited for Sonia to be able to share all of that today. She has had an amazing year. It has been filled with all sorts of wonderful accomplishments. And there's been certainly challenges as well that we'll get to in a minute. But I'm super excited for her to share all of that with you. And again, she's just such a true example of what is possible and is such a pleasure to work with. And I just am so excited for where she's really going in the future as well. So with that, why don't we just start, Sonia, and talk a little bit about your background, who you coach, what you do, just to give everybody some context about that.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. So I'm Dr. Sonia Wright. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a sexual counselor and I'm a life coach. And I am the midlife sex coach for women. And my focus is on helping women explore their sexuality and create the sexual intimacy that they want in their life because they deserve it. And this is what I love doing. This is what I love working on. And yeah, I've been lucky to have a whole coaching career around it. So definitely I've been blessed. I started my work in 2019. And before that, I was more like a physician life coach. Okay. And I ended up getting my sexual counseling training from the University of Michigan. And I decided in like December 2018 that I was actually going to switch gears and become a sex coach. And so in January of 2019 is actually when I started as the midlife sex coach for women. And, you know, it was not tons was happening in the first year because I was just grasping and getting my mind around the fact that I was shifting from being a doctor to a physician life coach over to being a sex coach and what that meant. And, you know, my mind drama around that and just growing a business, right? So in 2019, I made a total of $22,000. And that was also the year that I loved the most because it was the year that I made an amazing decision, which was to start working with you. And that happened, basically like October 28th of 2019. And it's been a great ride since that time.
It has been. It has been. I love it. And I still remember that day. I still remember our first few sessions so clearly.
Like we'll always laugh about that because I was like asking you, can you make any money doing this as a sex coach? Can I make money? And you gave me this look like, yes, we could do this. We can figure this out and we can definitely grow this business. So
yes, I had no doubts from the beginning. That's for sure. And it's played out very well. So Sonia, let's just talk for a minute about these past couple of years, especially. You have really experienced some tremendous growth in your business, and you've actually made some big life transitions as well, where you've transitioned fully through that process, transitioned fully out of your full-time radiology position as well. And so give us a little bit of background about all of that and give a sense, because again, we're talking about what's possible here. I want the listeners to get a feel, because one of the questions that I get a lot from clients is, you know, we're always looking for that certainty, right? We're always looking for, is this really going to work? Right. And as much as I feel like I have a crystal ball some days, there's a lot of factors involved, right? Now, what I will say is that for all of my clients, and I truly believe this, for all of you listening, if you're really dedicated, if you're really committed to building a business, a coaching business, you absolutely can do that. I mean, yes, there's work involved. Yes, there's an energy and effort that we have to put forth, but there is a pathway to do this for sure, for everybody. I really do think that it's a wonderful time to be a coach. But I think it's good to also hear some real examples from clients like yourself of what did that journey actually look like? Because some of my clients are still in their full-time jobs. Some have completely transitioned out or are full-time in their business as well. But I think it's useful to just hear some real stories about what that actually looked like. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be real about this. So, because I'm a physician in my contract, I had to give a 6-month notice. So I ended up stopping my radiology and just going full time as a sex coach in 2022, in February of 2022. But I had to make the decision 6 months earlier where I wasn't exactly certain about everything.
February 2021. We said 22. We're
sorry.
jumping
I'm
ahead.
already thinking about 2022. I'm like, my mind is already there. So February 2021, but I had to make the decision in August of 2020. Yeah. Right. And so in August of 2020, I had just come off of my first launch, right? And we had done well for the first launch. And I had just made my first 100K. And so I had to but I was doing that, you know, while I was being a full-time physician, right? So I ended up coaching.
Can we just stop there for a minute? Let's just say that again. I want everybody to hear that. You created a 6-figure launch as a full-time physician.
Yes.
Amazing. That's amazing.
It was amazing, but it was also like a combination for burnout, right? Because like I was coaching at 5 a.m. I was coaching up to 10 at night. And then I was trying to do business things relatively late in the night. And I was also working full time as a radiologist, and that would be on call hours overnight as well, and weekends as well. And so it was running 2 full-time jobs. And I knew that I could not sustain that, but I also couldn't give myself what I needed to grow my business if I didn't give it time. And so I had to make a decision when I wasn't certain, if this was the right decision for me, but I had to, I didn't have it all mapped out ahead of time, but I made sure I had some savings and I figured out what my plan was going to be. And then I gave my notice, and I remember giving the notice and just like wanting to vomit, and just being like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? But I was like, I always live my life thinking about my deathbed, right? On my deathbed, my one plan is to have no regrets, to have a life that has no regrets in it. To the most extent, in terms of like, I really should have done something and I didn't do it. Right. That's the type of no regrets that I don't want to actually have. And I thought to myself, if you're on your deathbed and you think, I never gave myself the chance to grow this business, to see all that it could possibly be. So I'm like, give yourself an opportunity. And if it's not what you want it to be, you can always switch it up later. You can always make another decision, but at least give yourself that chance. So I put in my notice, and I remember when I put in my notice, like I crawled under the covers and I stayed there for a little while. So it doesn't have to be pretty, right?
Right. In most cases, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be pretty, but at the same time, it was really one of the best decisions that I ever made, because it gave me the opportunity to really go all in on my business and do the work that I needed to do, and to start creating the life that I wanted to create for myself, which is, some of you know that I have a 22-year-old son, but I also have a 9-year-old daughter. And I had I had my son in medical school and residency, and then my career as a physician. So throughout his childhood, I had not been there the way I wanted to. And this was my last chance with my baby, right? And so I just wanted a life where I could make her breakfast in the morning, and I could drop her off at school, and I could spend time with her. That was equally as important as growing my business. And when I say growing my business, it was serving my clients. I call them my diamonds. And like the thought of a woman that is engaging in sexual intimacy and they don't want to be engaging in sexual intimacy, or they're not having pleasure at it, they're just they're having pain with sex. Those type of things would honestly keep me up at night. Like if I could make a difference in their lives, then I wanted the opportunity to make that difference as well. So it was a decision for my diamonds. It was a decision for me. It was a decision for my family. And that's why I took that leap of faith, even though I was scared.
Yeah,
I definitely was. Yeah.
Well, and you're just such a great example of, the importance of belief, right? And I know we've worked so much on that with, through our process, and just having that faith and making the decision, right? Making the decision to go all in is so important. It's that whole concept of like, sometimes you do have to burn the boats, right? Sometimes you have to go all in. And when we're in that place, there's the way forward is to make it work. Right. And so I know that, that was a very big decision for you. I want to commend you for that, because that is not an easy decision to make. And I know for many of my listeners as well, who may be in their career right now and are really wanting to make this leap, I just think that, you're a great example of when you make that decision, what's really available on the other side of that. So I'd love for you to talk about that after you made that decision, and really kind of in the last year, where you've been, what you've created, how you've impacted women, and what your business looks like.
Yeah, so this last year has really been a whirlwind of activity and a whirlwind in terms of mindset and working through a number of things. So within my business, I mean, I've created over $275,000 in the last
Amazing.
year. So that's been a lot of fun to see that grow
Yes.
and change. So
Yes.
I'm pretty excited about that. I created different courses. I had a course called Your Empowered Sexuality, which was more like a monthly membership. And I'm going to be shifting that around in the next year as well and offering it more
Mhm.
as an evergreen type of thing. But so that was fabulous. I also did Own Your Sexuality Now, which is my 12-week program. And I did different versions of that. I'm actually finishing up creating a CME version for doctors as well. So I actually ended up being able to merge my two types of coaching love, the sex
Love
coaching
that.
and the physician life
Yeah.
coaching together to make a CME course for physicians as well around sexuality. And recognizing that there's a lot of doctors out there where we've not been given information and training on
Mhm.
sexuality. So kind of
Mhm.
adding that in as well. And then I'm also at the beginning of 2022, and that's why 2022 is on my mind because I'm going to be running the Own Your Sexuality Now intimate group, which is like a small group of up to 20 women that we meet in a meeting style and really
Yeah.
get deep into sexuality and stuff. So I'm going to be working on that as well. And then I do a lot with training life coaches as well. And so I'm going to be working on a program to help life coaches in the area of sexuality as well and do training with that. So there's a lot
Got
going
a lot.
on as we end, as we go into
Can we talk about that
2022.
for a minute? I mean, that is amazing. I hope you all like heard that, right? One of the things I want to go back to is I remember early on before you gave your notice, you were like, what am I going to do with all this time? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yes. And it's like, well, how, and it's interesting when you go from having a structure imposed upon you
Yeah.
to you creating your own time structure and
Right.
schedule and figuring out how you prioritize things. And, it was also a year of growth because I had to learn that skill set as well.
Right.
I had
Right.
started it, but I definitely had to learn how to schedule my time, how to prioritize what was important to me in my life. And also, as I went through
Right.
this whole year, it became increasingly important to me, relationships in my life became something
Yes.
that I decided that I wanted to prioritize too. So I'm running a business and also wanting to prioritize family relationships and romantic relationships and making
Hmm.
sure that I have the life that I want because what I discovered was that I took Sonia, the doctor and the doctor's
Hmm.
lifestyle and initially plunked it into coaching. And there wasn't really a difference. I was still coaching early in the morning till late at night and working on
Right.
things and
Right.
not focused on my health. And so when I talk about relationships, definitely my relationship with myself became something that
Mm.
was very important. So the fact that I was able to become my own boss and run
Yes.
my own business and make the decision to go all in also allowed me to open up so many other aspects of my life. And
Mm.
so this is like the wonderful thing when you go all in. I didn't expect that to happen, but those
Yeah.
were some amazing gifts. And just the joy of dropping my daughter off at school in the morning and just
Yeah.
the fact that she knows that mom is going to pick her up from school in the afternoon,
Mhm.
like those simple things that I couldn't do before, like
Right.
that just it colors your whole world and just makes it so wonderful.
I agree. Well, and that's something, and I haven't talked a lot on the show about this, but that's, one of the reasons that I decided to launch my own practice as well was to be more present for my family, to be more present for my kids. When I made the decision, I had literally just had a newborn. My daughter was a toddler and I was in a position where I wasn't on call, but I kind of was. I was working a lot of weekends. I was responsible for a huge budget for a college, the whole essentially admissions for the college. And so that required a lot of me. It required a lot of time and it required a lot of me being away from home. And so I can totally relate with the wanting to just be able to pick up your child from school and wanting to not have them be the last ones there every day. And not be the first one there in the morning. So that for me was also one of the reasons that I wanted to be my own boss and have my own business so that I could have a little bit more of that time freedom and flexibility. And so I love that you brought that up, because I know that that is a motivation for a lot of women, especially I think coming into coaching and transitioning from a career, a rigorous type schedule that allows them to have a little bit more space in their life and focus on things that are important. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, I want to touch on that for just a minute too. When you talk about transitioning from your doctor role into being your own boss, what were some of the big mindset shifts that you had to make in terms of switching from that mindset to being a business owner, to being in charge of your calendar, to being in charge of where you spent your time, having that ability to do that? I'm curious what those shifts were.
Yeah, in some ways there wasn't a huge shift, and in other ways there were. So in terms of what was not a huge shift is like, as a doctor, you're making a lot of executive decisions around patients' health, around policies within an organization and such. So that skill set I was able to shift over and bring with me and became an asset into my business, right? But as a doctor, you don't necessarily have autonomy in terms of your time and making the decision around, there's still a schedule that you adhere to. And so now I was responsible and in charge for my own schedule, right? And first I just kind of let it be whatever it was going to be. But then after a while, I realized, no, I have a choice here. I can choose what hours that I'm going to work. I can choose to make sure that I have time in the morning with my daughter. I can choose after that I have a certain period of time that I'm going to coach. But then also, with my clients, I wanted to make sure that there were some evening appointments available. So factoring that in there, but at the same time, making sure that I've got my own personal needs met as well. So those were some of the things. And then realizing when you're running a business, there's some things you just don't want to do. There's naturally things that are the easy stuff that are pleasurable and fun. For me, coaching is a lot of fun. Doing podcasts is a lot of fun. Talking, interacting, that's a lot of fun. But doing the administrative side of things is not as easy, and that I needed to learn. And I'm still learning and growing in terms of taking the time to do that and to get things done that might not come as easy for me, so, marketing, emailing, different things like that. That's something that's important as well in running a business. So recognizing that it's not all fun and games. And that there is like this level of, there's things that when you're an employee, there are things you like about your job and things you don't necessarily want to do. It's not the top priority, but you still do them. Right. And when you're running your own business, it's the same thing. So, but you don't have some outward structure telling you what to do. So then mindset does become very important because it has to be internally driven. And so this is where, I think, maybe before you leave your job, for those of you that are thinking about it, it's to work on the mindset side of things and to get the skill set up there in terms of scheduling as well and prioritizing and realizing and recognize the job that you have right now. If you haven't left it, what is a skill set that you can take with you to your current, the new job that you're going to be doing when you're doing coaching full time. And so, maybe make a list of what are your skills that you can bring over? And then what are the skills that you would like to develop over a period of time? And what mindset will you need to have in order to do this work?
Right. Yeah. Super, super important. I mean, all of these, everything that you just mentioned, just the day-to-day, the scheduling, managing the calendar, figuring out when you're coaching, all of those things become really, really important when you are doing it all, right? Especially when you're starting out, you're a solopreneur and you are doing the coaching, but you're also doing all of the behind the scenes, which many people are in those first, especially when you're working towards that first 100K, especially some of that changes as you continue to grow. But definitely in the beginning, it's that skill of being able to organize your calendar, organize your week, organize those days so that you have time, obviously, that you're serving clients, but also time that you're working on the business is really important. So I love that you brought that up. One thing that I want to touch on too, that you mentioned, Sonia, is going back to all of the things that you have done this year, right? You've created several different programs. You've become involved in many, many different ways in the industry. And what I want to say about that is this is, again, a great example of how you can start out in this business or what you think you might create in your business. As you start taking action, as you go all in, as you start to, just dive into this, it's what I find is that things evolve naturally, right? They evolve into maybe it's a different program, or maybe it's working in partnership with something or some organization, right? Can you talk a little bit about that piece of it? Are you surprised when you kind of look back and look at this year in particular, what you've created? And because it's been a lot, and you can see how it's really changed from when you started your business initially back in 2019.
Yeah, I'm doing things that I didn't think were possible in 2019. Yes. And I love that this podcast is about what is possible, and finding that, because I didn't even have a concept that I would be able to do the things that I've been working on within my own programs, and also if I guest host or do stuff in other people's programs. And so it's been an amazing run. And I think that it's like just being open and available for possibility and not shutting it down. And I love opportunity. So if I'm given an opportunity, I go for it, even if it scares the heck out of me. And let me tell you, most of the time it does scare the heck out of me. Like now I'm getting a little bit used to it, but like the first time where I coached in a larger program, and, it's a program that could be seen by 3,000, 5,000 people. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like I did not have the belief in myself.
Right.
And I remember being stressed out about the whole thing, maybe a month in advance. Right.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I did it. And then after I did the session, I think I was in bed for like a day or something, not really, because I'm a parent. So you got to get up and do your stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But it felt that way. And then fast forward 6 or 7 months to where like now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this week. Oh, right. I better get something sorted out. Like it's just, you have to go through that discomfort. And I always think about it's like the ability to tolerate the discomfort will always correlate with your level of success.
That's right.
So so there definitely was a lot of discomfort while I was doing the beginning initial stages. And as long as you're able to, to tolerate that and recognize that that's just going to be part of it, it does get easier. It does get a lot easier. Yes.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's always temporary. I think what's really useful to remember is that it really is temporary, and that really it's like building a new muscle, right? Exactly. I always equate it to, if we're going to the gym, if we're trying to, work on our muscles, there's going to be some pain involved. It's going to hurt. We're going to feel aches. We're going to feel that in our body. And it's the same thing as we're doing these new things, and it's forcing us to grow in new ways in the business. It's a very similar process. And so I think it's just useful to remember that it is temporary, right? And that the more you do it, the more you walk into it, the more you work through it, the easier and the faster you'll get through that the next time. So that's such a great example. So good. So tell us when you think about these last couple of years and all of the success that you've created, Sonia, what have been some main shifts, some main mindset shifts in your belief around creating success, around creating what you've created? I'd love for you to talk about that.
Yeah, I think one of my main mindset shifts has been that I may have a trajectory and a plan, and that is usually not the way it goes. Right? and being okay with that, and recognizing that no matter what it is that I am doing, that there's going to be quote unquote failures involved. Like it's not going to be a smooth road. It's not going to go exactly how I planned it. And that's okay. I think the largest mind shift for me is one in which it's like I'm approaching things with wonder and curiosity. Curiosity is always one of my favorite feelings, and it helps me quite a bit. As Amanda knows, I'm kind of an anxious person. And I say that because for all of you out there that are anxious, and I'm also very introverted. and which people don't think that
so
the sex coach is introverted, right? But if I had my way, I would just be like in a dark room. This is probably why I'm a radiologist, right? I'd be in a dark place, like maybe talking on a podcast or reading a book and maybe coaching, but having a lot of downtime. So being an introverted person and being more of an anxious person, to be going out on a path that I don't know where this is leading to, sometimes it can cause a lot of anxiety in my life, and learning to roll with it. And instead of thinking the worst is going to happen, which is what my mind wants to go to, I've noticed that there's been a mind shift over this year in terms of what is possible, what is great that can happen in this situation. And this concept, this idea, it's either this or better. It's something new for me as well. So as I'm ending 2021, I think that like the gift of this year is the awe and the wonder and the curiosity, and knowing that I have my own back as well and it'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sonia, what advice would you have for, because I have listeners that are in all different stages of their journey, that are just starting out in their business. I've got some that are, already full-time in their business, more established in their business. What is some of your best advice when you think about what you've been able to create, and especially in this past couple of years, and the success and all of the things that you've created? What is some of your best advice that you can offer to the listeners?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are roaming around in my mind right now in terms of what is the best advice that I can give. I think that trust your gut, trust yourself. If you're deciding that you want to go all in full time, recognize that it's never going to feel comfortable. Check your finances, make sure that you're in a halfway decent place. Trust yourself to know when it's time to go and when it's time for you to fly. And also recognize that you can make another decision, right? So I think that that is what I'd have to say on that realm. Also, I'm giving the advice based on what I've learned in 2021. And my advice also would be, look at your values, what your values are, and make sure that your life reflects your values, right? Kindness, love, relationships. This year, definitely my business goals have been important, but also my relationship goals have been equally important. And also realizing that now is the time to create the life that you want to live, not in the future. Cause I was like, okay, when I finish with this, when I finish with that, then I'm going to create it. And I realized, I'm 55. It's now. Now is the time for me to create the life that I want. What exactly do I want? So taking the time to figure out what it is that you want in your life and to create it. I wanted a life where I'd have an amazing business, where I was helping and contributing and making a difference in people's lives. I wanted a life where I could spend time with my children and make sure that that was something that was important. I wanted a life where I could travel and see my friends. And to the extent that COVID has been in our life, I'm creating that as well. I'm a lifelong learner. So for me, always learning, and if it's like reading a book or going to a conference or whatever, but that brings me a lot of joy. So as you're doing this journey, ask yourself what brings you joy and make sure you incorporate it as well. Actually, I've started, I decided nature was something that brings me joy. And so I incorporated that and added that into walks in nature, which I find is helping my business as well, because I get the exercise and I'm walking, but I also have the space in my mind to create and to think of new things for my business as well. So whatever it is that brings you joy that you want to have in your life, create the life that incorporates it, because it's going to be better for you, better for your family, and better for your business in the long run.
I love it. I love it. Such good advice. So, so good. I would love for you to share, Sonia. You brought a little special something with you that I would love for you to share. And we are recording the video of this. We'll see if we publish the video, but I'd love for you to explain what you're holding right now for the listeners that aren't able to see it.
I am holding a little glass structure And it's like an award, and it's a pyramid shape, and it says AK on it. I wish you, for those of you that don't have the video, hopefully you can get to it, or maybe we'll have a picture of it that we'll submit. Yeah. And it says the 250K Club, Dr. Sonia Wright. And it's from Amanda Karlstad for her coaching. And so this is my 250K award from Amanda, which I have this on my mantle. I am so proud. This is like one of my most prized possessions because it just brings me back to when we started, right? And when we were like, is this possible? Can we do this? And you're like 100% we could do this. And you've been with me all the way, right? Yeah. And so when I have this on my mantle, I look at it in terms of look what I've created, but also look at this amazing coach that has been with me and believed in me when I didn't believe in me. And so this represents a lot. It represents amazing adventure. It represents financial success, but it also represents a friendship, and it represents an amazing coach and the honor that I have working with her. So this is pretty important to me. And I'm going to move it up closer to see if you can see it.
I have to tell you all, it is very pretty.
It is beautiful.
It's very pretty. I was very careful in selecting these awards. I think they're beautiful. So Thank you so much, Sonia. I'm so proud of you. You are such an example of what is possible. I know so many listeners are going to be so inspired by your story and have been inspired by your story, have been already following you and your journey. And I love that we had an opportunity to bring you back on and share where you're at and share what you've been able to create. It's really phenomenal. You are a true example of what is possible. And you are just changing the world. You're impacting so many lives with your work. And I also feel, and we always say this, right? We're just kind of getting started. That's the fun part of it, right? Even though it's been 2 years in so many ways, it's just scratching the surface truly of what's ahead. And so
I can't wait to see where we'll be in like 3 more years, because that would be like the total of 5 years working together and then another 5 years, right?
I know. It's so amazing. So I just want to tell you how proud I am and just what an honor it is to work with you. And I agree to have you as a friend. It has just been such an honor to have you in my life. And I appreciate you so much. And I'm so proud of everything that you've done and everything that you're going to do from here on out.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I couldn't have done it without you. So yes, definitely.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, Sonia. So tell everyone where they can find you, how they can work with you, where to go.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about it. So you can always find me at soniawrightmd.com. That's my website. That's the easiest place to find me. I'm also on Instagram as Dr. Sonia Wright, so you can locate me there as well. And in terms of working with me, I do private coaching. And I also do group coaching. And so the group coaching is Own Your Sexuality Now. And then the private coaching is, you could just reach out to me and we could get it going. I love doing both types of coaching and they're pretty great.
Awesome. Amazing. All right, everybody, go follow her. Go work with her. We'll talk to you all very soon. Okay. Bye-bye. Hey, if you're ready for a real breakthrough in your business and want to grow and scale your business to at least 6 figures or more in annual revenue, I invite you to apply for my exclusive program, The Mastermind, at amandakarlstadcoaching.com/the-mastermind. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Life Coach Business Podcast. If you want to learn more about how to build, grow, and scale your business and accelerate your results, visit amandakarlstadcoaching.com.